Welcome back, class, to Lecture 5 Video 2, which is a continuation of our Theory for Level Design Player-Centered Design. So today we'll discuss how ideas from user-centered design can inform level design. To do so, I'll primarily be referencing the works of Donald Norman, whose book The Design of Everyday Things is available through your reading list, which you can access through the My Learning space. So, what is user-centered design? User-centered design is the process of designing with the end user in mind. You need to think about your users as they really are, not how you would like them to be. When designing your levels, you need to try to think of how the user would think. Whilst you may have the best intentions and believe that your path is blatantly obvious, the users can always find new ways to astound you. User-centered design reminds us that design is about people, and people, generally speaking, are not logical. So, our users are players. This may seem obvious, but labeling them as users can make it more difficult for us as developers to empathize with their experience. You don't use a level. Therefore, player-centered design is about getting inside the head of the real player and understanding how they perceive the game world. Don't blame the player when they don't see what you think that they should see, or don't understand what they do see. Your job as the level designer is to solve this problem. Solving the problem is literally what level design is. So, I'm now going to provide you with your BuzzFeed style article of 3 easy ways to spot during playtesting that your level design is not player-centered. The first is if the phrase, "you're doing it wrong," comes out of your mouth when you're watching a player play. The second is if you say, "you need to do this," and you're trying to inform the player of how they should progress within your level. The third is, "let me show you." If you find you're saying any of the above during a playtesting session, you've designed it wrong. So, in his book, The Design of Everyday Things, Donald Norman highlights the term human-centered design. This is defined as the process that ensures that your design matches the needs and capabilities of those who will use your product. However, labeling is not quite as important as the need to embrace the user, player, or human at the center of your design process. This is what is called a design philosophy. Okay, but how do we embrace putting the user, player, or human at the center of our design process? We can start by thinking about discoverability and understanding. When we first use a new product or play a new level, we need to discover how it works and what is possible. The process of discovery allows us to define what actions you can perform when using the product, or in the context of level design, when playing the level. And you need to understand what the meanings of these possibilities are. The process of understanding allows us to comprehend what the intended outcome for the product or level is. What are you meant to achieve? How can you use your actions in combination to achieve that outcome? So here's an analogy for understanding UX that my good friend and lecturer here at Abertay, Andre Boyko, made me aware of. So let's take, for instance, the user experience of using a bicycle. In terms of discovering, the user can explore the object to realize that they sit on the seat. By turning the handlebars, the front wheel will turn, allowing them to change direction of travel. And when using the pedals in a circular motion, the rear wheel rotates, driving the bicycle forwards. In terms of understanding, the user will realize that by sitting on the bicycle seat, pedaling, and using the handlebars to steer, they can use all of these actions in conjunction to achieve the outcome of transporting themselves from point A to point B. So, I'm now going to introduce you to a rather interesting real-world example of UX design gone wrong. These are Donald Norman's most famous example of an object that does not work as expected. Using a door should be a simple process, right? And yet, there are plenty of examples of doors that just don't work. So, the discoverability of these doors is poor, and therefore a user cannot intuitively understand how that object should work, As far as door design conventions go, a user expects a handle to be used for pulling a door open and a pad or bar to push a door open. This is a surprisingly common problem that can occur from poor design, planning, and implementation. The examples above show you 3 interestingly bad implementations of such doors. The first is an automatic door with push pads that opens outwards towards the user. You can tell by the angled doorstop at the bottom left of the image. Whilst there are multiple design crimes committed here, the biggest is that it's an automatic door with physical handles. That's why the owner has to put a large automatic door plaques below the handles. The second is a pull door that's using a push pad style handle, causing the user to expect the door to be pushed open. And the third is a push door that is using a pull style handle, causing the user to expect the door to be pulled open. You'll find these Norman doors everywhere. Whilst we tote our abilities to train designers, even the Abertay campus has instances of bad design. The above images are from the door at the back of the second floor, which is labelled as an automatic door, but requires the user to push a button to the side of the door to actually open it. As some sort of effort to remedy this design foresight, they've stuck some arrows next to the button to try and draw attention to it, but this does not excuse poor design and implementation in the first place. So I'm now going to assign you with task 8. I'm going to encourage you to watch a short Vox documentary that I stumbled across, which is an interesting dive into the Norman door. Once you've watched that, we'll return to define what an affordance and a signifier are, and how these can be used in practice. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.